Yeah, because they because Mammoth is doing his own or their own or whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. They're doing like a headlining. Him and Nita Strauss are doing
Yeah,
their
they were
tour.
just at Fifth Avenue like
I was,
2 nights ago.
yeah, I was gonna say they were in Grand Rapids around that the and it's like I'd like to go, but I'm not driving all the way to Grand Rapids. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, and I know a couple people on that side of the state that I think would want to go, and I'm like, I'm not gonna call them on a whim and be like, hey, because they're gonna have to drive. Yeah. So
yeah. So I've been watching old Survivor Series. I started at the very beginning, and I've been working my way. I'm up to 92 right now.
ooh, okay.
So,
It's funny you say that because I've been watching old primetime wrestling
mm-hmm.
from October into November of 1989, and I'm just about to Survivor Series, and I'm really excited
Nice.
to watch it. I completely like because it was such a primetime feud. The Roddy Piper Rick Rude feud, I didn't see much of as a kid. I only
Right.
saw the clips that they showed on Superstar. So to
Right.
see it all play out, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, no wonder people were really into this. I didn't really understand how
Well,
great
that's
Roddy
so funny
Piper
because when
was.
I was watching that uh that Survivor Series, I'm like Roddy and like I like had no same thing. I had no recollection that was a thing.
And
But
it's been this whole thing of Roddy is in the studio for prime time, but he's in a separate studio because he can't get too close to Heenan because he beat him up. But it's just those two going back and forth at each other, and Gorilla's the middleman. It's so entertaining.
um so obviously I just finished 91 and
Yeah.
they show the funeral parlor angle with Hogan and Flair and Taker coming out of the casket to attack like it used to be better.
I don't care if I'm an old head. Wrestling was great 30 years ago. It's horse shit now.
I just yeah, just oh man, it's so good. Uh yeah, that late that 89 through 91 that's my jam right there.
Yep.
But
I
yeah,
mean, you can take it into I would say summer of '92, and then it starts to take a big dip. But I mean, the Rumble is great, and WrestleMania 8 is an all timer.
right. I
That
just
whole
I'd say 91 cuz or like 91 cuz that's like, cuz beginning of 92 is when the Rockers break up and at the end of 91 like Heart Foundation's already broke up, Demolition's gone cuz I like for me those three teams were tag team wrestling for me. And then
Mhm.
obviously Warrior and Hogan and all that kind of so like that's why I like focus on those 3 years right there because that was like I mean obviously I got all the Hasbros and like it's
right.
just good times but everyone was on coke.
You know, last night's Dynamite shows being on Coke doesn't mean that it's a great episode of television every week either.
Well, I was gonna say, I
So,
mean, depending on who you are, that'll get you lose you a television deal.
well, yeah, that too. Oh, man.
uh,
Uh,
by the way,
yeah, I don't know.
this is KMWP 2.0.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, whatever. I figure we might sneak it in here while we're just kind of riffing. But hi everyone, we're here to talk some wrestling and some other stuff. So, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been. I don't even know what started it. I just like like obviously I'm not gonna make it all through all of them before this year's Survivor Series, but I just kind of watch them. There was one. It was either 88 or 89 that I had on VHS tape. I don't remember which one. I want to say it was 88.
okay.
And I remember, so
with Hogan and Macho and
yes,
Andre and
yes,
DiBiase.
yes, yeah.
Oh, and that's where Elizabeth is so scantily clad for the first time.
No, that was at SummerSlam.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
The
There I
teeny
go.
weeny, yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
polka dot
Yeah, because
bikini
then
that wasn't
that's
polka dotted.
Hogan puts the hand on the back.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, that's Macho loses it. You know,
yeah.
starts to get the
Lust in your
question.
eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, those old Survivor series. I just like as a kid, I remember being excited to see them, but then after like three or four of the same match, I was always burnt out
Right.
on that match style. And I think that's why I've enjoyed the most recent versions a lot more. Is it because it's the two,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't feel like the entire card is bogged down with just those kind of matches, which when you think about it, they don't make a lot of sense. Like these guys wrestle 10, 15-minute matches all the time, and then you put five of them in a ring and they're getting rolled up one after another.
Mm-hmm.
Or then you had like the early versions, like the first ones where the 5-on-5s are like an hour long
Yeah.
match. You're like,
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, it's terrible.
And depending on who's in it, like that, like the '87, there was like a lot of ugh.
Yeah. Like Ken Pantera and Don Morocco at the
Yeah.
end, and
Yeah. No,
oh,
yeah. There was one. Was it that year? Or was it eight? I don't know. There was one year where it was like maybe it was '89, but there was one year where it was like uh Hogan's team, and then was just like was just like that. It was just like ugh, and then like the Warrior, whoever else, like the next babyface team in a different match was like, holy crap, that's like an awesome team.
yeah. I feel like there was one with Hogan where it was like him and like Bam Bam
That's
Bigelow.
the very first one. It was him, Bam Bam,
Was
Orndorff,
like
Patera.
Butch Reed is in there, I think.
He's on the heel side, yes.
Okay, yeah, like oh
Yeah, it's okay. It's Hogan, Ken Patera, Bam Bam Bigelow, Paul Orndorff, and Don Morocco versus Andre.
yeah. It's like Andre One Man Gang,
Yep.
Butch
Butch
Reed.
Reed.
There's another big dude in that. It's not Stud.
Hercules.
Bundy?
Yeah, you're married. Might be Bundy.
Yeah.
Bundy.
Oh God. uh well, that's fun. That's a nice little. I do that every year with like, well, not every year, but most years I try to watch 4 or 5 different Rumble matches.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've done it with Rumble matches before. I've done it with WrestleMania multiple times. You know, in the lead up into that year's WrestleMania, I'll go back and watch a bunch of old ones. But I've never done it with Survivor Series. So I was like, yeah, I was it was a couple weekends ago where I'm just like, all right, what do I want to throw something on while I do something around the house here. What is it? And I'm like, I'll watch some Survivor Series. So,
It's funny how that works.
yeah, it's been a fun trip down memory lane. So,
So, switching gears a little bit, did you
yeah,
see that wrestling show is coming to Adrian?
yes.
That did you see who the WWE legends are that are going to be
The Powers
appearing?
of Pain, you mean? Yes.
Yeah, and Nikita Koloff.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I know, yeah, I knew specifically. They got like a big old, like, picture banner over by the TLC main branch advertising it.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's a,
Now, I think I'm gonna go. I'll take the kids. Like, you want to go see some wrestling?
yeah,
Wrestling?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's go watch three men in their 60s. Go take some bumps, brother.
Are they wrestling or are they just there for photo ops?
I hope they're wrestling,
That'd
but
be awesome.
so that the reason I brought that up, it kind of ties into like the just you end up on these random rabbit holes. Holly's like, "Who's Nikita Koloff?" And I'm like, "Oh, who's Nikita Koloff?" Like he had a tag team with Dusty back in the 80s. So then I obviously had to look up promos. And I found this Dusty Rhodes promo with him and Nikita where he ends up talking about hanging out with ladies of the night and how his ladies of the night are the kind you get at 9 o'clock at night, and flares are the ones you get at 3 a.m. because everyone can find a dog at 3 a.m. Like, holy crap. Where's this Dusty been all my life?
Um,
And then I watched like 30 minutes of Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff promos.
nice. That's so wild, like how that happened. Because like Nikita was full on, him and Ivan were, full on USSR, and then Magnum had his accident, and they're like, we need a partner for Dusty.
What do we do?
I know. Let's turn one of the Russians baby face.
Because he was a visionary.
Yeah. Um. Heck. Let's start there. Speaking of Dusty, we got War Games coming, baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yay.
I'm as happy as you can be for someone you don't actually know, for Cody Rhodes to finally get in a War Games match.
You know he's going to get hurt before it happens. He's tearing that other pec.
Yeah, that would suck. That would really suck. But no, like and it's like, it's funny because everyone was they kept bringing up this picture of Dusty, I guess from one of the early War Games. I don't have recollection of him in the camouflage face paint like that. My first thought was and it's one of those, I don't think this qualifies as Mandela effect. I think this is just me mixing things up in my brain. I had the 95 Fall Brawl War Games where it's Sting, Hogan, Savage, and Luger, where they're all in camouflage face paint and all that kind of stuff. For some reason, I always think that team was called Sting Squadron, but that wasn't. It was Sting Squadron was against the Dangerous Alliance in the early 90s.
Right. Okay.
For whatever reason, I think because when I think of someone called a squadron, I think of people dressed in camouflage.
Okay.
So I
can follow that.
Yeah. So
I think I think the reason the camo doesn't recognize you, it's probably from one of the Great American Bash Tour shows where they took War Games on the road.
Yeah.
And they had, like, PWI was there or something, you know?
Right. That's probably it. But so yeah. Do you think so there's been people speculating right now it's a 4-on-4.
Yeah.
People talking that they want, this could end up being 5-on-5, and then throwing some names out there. Where are you kind of from your,
So, like, all right, I like the idea of each team having a mystery opponent in theory, except for if all these reports are of how they don't want to build speculation about Punk coming in and they don't want people to get on that to get their hopes up for something. This is a pretty blatant, like, hint that it's somebody big, right? Now, obviously, Randy is the one name. And what's the rumor for
the one most common thing that I've seen people float around is that Drew would be on the Judgment Day team.
That's what it is, right? Because he doesn't like Jay, he doesn't trust him, and all that other.
He lost to Seth,
so yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you're automatically leaving that speculation open, and on top of you keep dropping hints on the show, like, it may not be purpose, but like someone is putting these hints out there that people are catching and they're getting more frequent. Like, if you don't want people getting their hopes up, you're doing a pretty crappy job of tampering that down.
Yes, I will agree. In some cases, in other
cases, if this show were being held in St. Louis or Dallas, it would be different. But if you hype that crowd up into thinking he's going to be there, and then it is Randy Orton, even though lots of people love Randy, Randy's one of those guys that Chicago crowd could shit on real quickly
Right.
because he's not
Right.
he's not Punk, and
Right.
he's actually like the establishment's guy. It would be their way of being like, no, damn it. So like,
Right.
I just think they're running a risk if they do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the mystery thing. I would just go ahead and announce them. Is what I would do.
Yeah.
Um, but or just keep it 4-4. I'd be fine with that too. Um, but we'll see. Nothing's been as of right now. It's
And
just 4-4, and I think that's perfectly fine. Or
is this gonna? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, or if you want to get Drew in there, I would find some way to take out JD McDonough beforehand, since he's not officially part of Judgment Day anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can slide Drew in there, and
Sure.
but
Do you think this is going to replace the traditional brand supremacy match?
as far as I mean,
Like a 5-on-5?
yeah, I think so. Maybe.
Well, because what's Seth going to do? He's
Seth's
not
in
wrestling Roman.
Seth's in the War Games match.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind. You're right. That's right. They just threw him in kind of at random.
Well, not really. I mean, he hasn't been as in it with as Sammy and Jay and Cody have, but he's been dealing with them off and on for a while with the feud with Finn, and then with Priest having the briefcase, so he, like I said, he hasn't been like in it like the other three, but he's been deal with them too. So I don't think it's not like that far out of left field. I don't think for him to be involved.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, so they got that announced. They've got what else do they have announced? There's something else they Rhea versus Zoe Stark 1-on-1 for so yeah, I guess we're not getting any, because I was kind of hoping
That's
we'd get.
that's really shitty.
It is. I think it's because so many people complained about it the last few years that they did it.
Jesus Christ, you can't make wrestling fans happy. That was a really cool concept.
It
It was the
was,
only time of the year you were guaranteed to see like big time matches, like
and
between champions.
the funny thing is that I get why people complained before, is because usually Survivor Series was like a month after the draft. They would do the draft in October, and then they
Mm-hmm.
would do Survivor Series and do this brand supremacy. It's like half of these people just got to these brands. Why do they care this much? Which kind of makes sense. And you had pretty much the same people running. I mean, the first couple years of the new brand split, you had Stephanie and Shane and stuff, but the last few couple years, it's been Pierce running everything. Now though, that they've got two separate general managers, and they've already had some, like, not like real bad blood, but they've had gone back and forth on a couple things already. This would be the year to do it, but I guess they're not. I wanted to see Gunther and Logan Paul. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But we get to see Gunther destroy the Miz instead. So, but
You get to see it. I won't see it.
um, do you think they're gonna do a women's one, War Games?
Why would they?
Because they have to, for equality's sake.
That'd be stupid.
Um,
I mean, no, because you're gonna bastardize the concept. It's the same when they do the 2 or 3 elimination chambers in a night. Like it burns. It's just not. It's not enjoyable.
I agree. I think the women's match I would do 5-on-5, or 4, whatever, because it would probably be Bailey, Io, and Kyrie. Now that she's back officially, she made her return at Crown Jewel. And then you'd have to find them a 4th or 5th. I was kind of thinking you could do seeing as Chelsea and Piper are the tag champs and can go brand to brand, you throw them on that team, and then you do Bianca, Charlotte, maybe Asuka, Asuka or Shotzi, because Charlotte and Shotzi have been teaming recently for some reason.
Right.
And then you could do the spooky Scottish witches on the on the babyface team. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Tomorrow's SmackDown, so I'm sure whatever they do will get set up tomorrow. So because you only got a couple weeks, so
Right.
we're 2
And it
weeks.
looks like there's no reason for Cena to be around anymore.
He timed that perfectly.
Perfectly.
Got destroyed by
absolutely squashed, and then he's out the door.
Yep.
Perfect.
He must have been. He must have had some inside info or something. He must have been clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
So, good for him. That was a nice little run for him to come back.
And it's all people ever asked of Dwayne was like, just come back once in a while, man.
Yeah.
Come back for 6-8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Make a few house shows. That's why people love Batista. Because when he came back. He didn't, and he wanted to make towns. That's.
Have you seen the? So you know how they've slapped a moniker on him. He's not just John Cena anymore. He's the greatest of all time, John Cena, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was on Corey Graves' podcast last week or whatever, and they had a video. They put some video clips out of it, and Corey says something, calls him the greatest of all time, John Cena, and John's like, I do not call myself that. That is, and I can't remember exactly how he put it, but he's like, basically, that's them saying, John Cena being just John Cena, or I've avoided 20 years having a moniker. I couldn't avoid it any longer, or something to that effect.
Right.
Everyone's got to have a nickname or a moniker.
The game, yeah.
The Viper, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. Now that I had the tribal chief, Seth freaking Rollins.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
KO. Man, the more I'm just thinking KO, whatever.
Yep. The one and only Ricochet. So. Yeah. So, pretty pumped up for Survivor Series. I love me some War Games.
Whatever.
I do. I've always loved that match.
I think after I watched a couple, the concept is just meh.
That's fair. But
I feel like some of the ones where a couple of the AEW ones have been solid matches. They've been a little the first one especially was worked kind of like a match for a long while, but the ending screwed everything up. But some of those early ones are clunkers too, where it's just dudes in the corner getting stomped on for 90 seconds because they're just waiting to fill this ring up to get to the heat.
Right. If WWE does decide to do two, a man and a woman's one at Survivor Series, I hope that they have one that's just, because the biggest problem is that they always, both matches always introduce plunder into it, and it's like,
yeah,
well, you just did this 2 hours ago. So if they insist on doing two, my hope is that we're like, all right, so whoever goes on first is just, you can use the cage and whatnot, but leave all the weapons and stuff for the, I can't believe I'm like TNA used to do with Lockdown. They'd have all those cage matches, and then the last match was Lethal Lockdown, where all the weapons were.
Yeah. Way to bastardize the concept of the cage being a dangerous object, but
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. If one cage match is great, 8 of them.
Outstanding. Why hasn't WWE done TLC night where they have multiple? Oh wait, they ended up doing that.
Yep. But so yeah, NXT's got a new home, or will have a new home next year.
Mm-hmm. And not that's network television, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. The C Dub.
Wow, good for them.
And they got, depending on who you, Ari Emanuel said it was like 70%. Other reports are like, it might closer to 50. Regardless, they got a pretty good size bump for it too. So good on them. It sounds like it was a bigger bump than what they got for the SmackDown rights from.
Wow.
Because I think the SmackDown they only got like a 40% bump. So yeah.
Where's SmackDown going? USA.
It's going back to USA. So.
Huh. So Raw and SmackDown will both be on USA.
Well, the Raw deal, they're still working on the Raw deal, and it sounds like that's going to have to it's a domino situation because the NBA rights are up too. And so NBC Universal is
trying to get
involved with that, and that would include USA Network. Seeing as they, disbanded their sports network a couple years ago. So if they do that, the chances are they probably won't have enough money then to do NBA, SmackDown, and Raw. So then some people are saying Disney could jump in and put it on FX. There's talk that both Raw and AEW could be on Warner proper, either TBS and TNT. That would be interesting. But there is ESPN, they do all the UFC stuff. Well, they also do the PFL that and it's they haven't really, if that happens, that's like when Vince is really gone, because that would never be Vince would never be on the same network as another promotion like that. So
yeah,
if
it sounds like Vince is unloading some stock.
Yeah, like 30% of what he's what he has. So,
or they were like, hey, better start selling your shit because we're packing the rest of it up. You're out the door, old man.
Yeah, we can do this without you.
Yeah, you can make this look like it was your own doing, or we will embarrass you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
I saw a story where CW had actually approached Tony Khan about Ring of Honor going there.
Yeah.
When they were at the Forum last, and he turned them down.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that same thing. Or I saw that same.
Unbelievable. Way to go, guy. I mean, not that Ring of Honor matters.
Oh, tell you what, it certainly does not.
It's what an embarrassment, man! Like, what an absolute embarrassment.
I wasn't even going to bring AEW up to be honest.
That's fine.
No,
all I'm going to do is have negative things to say.
And
so
that's why I didn't want to bring it up, because I'm tired of coming on here every week and just trashing them, and it's not like they don't deserve it, because they're doing a lot of stupid things. But again, I watched the first hour of Dynamite before I put my son to bed last night, and it was fine, nothing spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up falling asleep, putting him to bed, and wake up, and I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on. And I'm like, well, the ending looked like it was okay. It was pretty cool. And then it's like, oh, Samoa Joe beats Keith Lee for the Ring of Honor TV title and then relinquishes the TV title.
So he can go after the AEW World title.
Which he was going after anyway.
And he already lost the match for that. Like,
right,
whatever.
But so
and like
at least that though, that they're he's not just getting a match. He's trying to get a match by saying, "Hey," telling Max, "Hey, I'll have your back in this tag team match at the pay-per-view, but in return, I want another title match." So at least they're like doing that much. But I just the whole, and it's so like they put all these Ring of Honor titles on the main roster guys, and it's like, okay, and everyone was like, all right, well, that's because that final, they want all these people for Final Battle. They'll do all the switches at Final Battle. And then last week, the Elite lose the 6-man, and then now Joe just...
Eddie Kingston hasn't been on TV in weeks.
So, it's just... that...
It's terrible. It's terrible. He's, like, I don't, like, you don't know, but, like, you don't have to know the situation. He's spread way too thin. There's way too much going on. He's got too big of a roster. He's in way over his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's in deeper shit than I think anyone realized when it comes to the creative side of what's going on. And it's not going to get any better.
Yeah. It doesn't.
He's damn lucky he's got arguably the greatest roster of wrestling talent that's ever been on national TV when it comes from an in-ring perspective that bails his show out every week. Because, like you said, the first hour of Dynamite, I was like, okay, but MJF and Garcia was a really solid match, a world title match. And then they give you the Sting Darby thing. And you're like, all right, you get a chance to see Sting. Let's watch him get these jobbers. Haha. Like, that's awesome. We want to see him a few times before the end. Great. And then they bring out Swerve and Penta, and they have a fantastic match. And you're like, all right, the wrestling's been really good. Let's see how they develop it. And then it's Jericho and Omega. Like, Omega's just taking Jericho's side against the Bucks. Like, I saw something on Twitter today that was like AEW in 2019, the Elite are fighting amongst themselves. 2020, the Elite are fighting amongst themselves. 2021, the Elite are fighting amongst themselves. 2023, they're fighting it's like, that's been their entire story arc.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, man. This is terrible. Yeah. Absolutely terrible.
Right.
And that stupid see, I'm just going to say negative stuff. So I'll just stop.
Who are you going to bury?
Omega.
Oh.
And that stupid ass video game promo.
Oh.
Just, okay, whatever, man. Like, that should, like, I just don't understand how that sort of stuff gets put out there. It's not entertaining to me. Yeah. And he is such a black hole of charisma. It's depressing.
So this is and I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to revisit this in the coming months, but it's been a topic on a couple of shows I listened to, but what when William Ospreay's contract is up in a few months,
and
I think the no-brainer thing is him either staying in New Japan or going to AEW. Like, that makes sense, but like, the more I'm thinking about it, like, because he did. How this all got started is because he tweeted the eyeball emoji after Seth retained at Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
And then Seth responded, "Hey, the water's warm." I want to see that match more than any, like, because he's already wrestled Kenny. He's already wrestled,
Sure.
He's probably wrestled Hangman. I don't know. But, like, it's like, well, if he goes to AEW, he can still work New Japan. I'm like, well, okay, great. But I don't know, like right now, like Osprey and especially this has been like 4 years, and going back and forth between these two at various times
It's,
on social media. Like
it's really interesting that you think like you're excited. Are you excited for the match in the ring or just the hype around it?
both, because I think him and Seth,
Okay.
like, because everyone's like, well, if he goes to WWE, he's gonna have to dumb down his style. I'm like, is that the worst
Um,
thing?
well, it's not the worst thing, and everyone said it was the same thing was going to happen to AJ, and you could argue AJ's better now than he was at any other point in his career. Like, well, maybe not right this moment, but at his peak in WWE,
Right.
that 2017 AJ, 2018, like, pardon the pun, was phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
that might have been some of his best work of his entire career.
Right.
Like, he was outstanding, and it probably prolonged his career,
Well, and
being able to tone it down a bit.
and look, this guy's obviously older right now than what Osprey is, but you know, Brian leaves WWE and comes over to AEW, and like the restrictor plates are off, and every time he has a big match, he ends up getting hurt. Like,
Yeah.
there's something to be said about like, okay, yeah, maybe you're not able to do as spectacular of things, but you're also going to be available. Theoretic, dumb stuff happens all the time. Like, it's wrestling, but still, like,
Right.
in theory, you're going to be available and more of an asset more often if you're not doing a bunch of crazy stupid stuff. But
Yeah. I think so. Now, admittedly, I don't watch the product. I can't speak with authority on how good he's been, but it seems like every time I've watched Seth Rollins for a couple years now, it feels like he's into he has the same stuff every match. And it I saw someone once say that it's like he always has a really good match, but it's never up to your expectations. Whatever you're thinking, like, oh, Seth and so is going to be a banger. It's almost a banger, but it's not quite. But it's not like, man, that sucked, right?
fair.
And I feel like that's like the perfect way to summarize him for the last couple of years. Like, it's good, it's not awful. It's definitely not awful, but it's also like, man, I thought it'd be a little bit better than that. And it's
I
like
don't
maybe
know.
because
Like,
Osprey's on such a run that it wouldn't. My whole thing is like, after that, what does Osprey do? Like, who you're like, oh, he's worked all the. Who are you really excited to see him work in WWE? That's a realistic option.
well, I think he's like a big, like he's a huge AJ Styles fan. So him and AJ. I mean, I think they've done that on the Indies years ago, but like not this Will Osprey.
Sure.
You know how WWE, especially now that they like lean into stuff that happened, that they, you know, Triple H would love to throw him and Ricochet out there and be like, hey, remember this viral thing from 5 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think. I honestly think, and this isn't my point. All credit goes to Jeremy. But I think the more challenging thing would be going to WWE and having success there for him. Like, the AEW is the easy part.
Yeah, but who's to say that the challenge is because he's said repeatedly that it's not just a money thing. Like,
Right.
he want and I don't know. I feel like he's the sort of guy that would Lost in the Shuffle is such a cliche, but I don't think a Will Ospreay comes in and gets like the Cody Rhodes thing right away because he's brand new to a lot of that audience, and he'd be fighting up against a lot of established baby faces, and he's an outstanding talent, but his talent in the ring is what sets him apart. And that's not really what WWE focuses on, right? Now, maybe since Hunter's in charge, that could change, right?
Right.
Obviously. And like, if you want to establish Will right away with a guy, you put him in there with friggin' Gunther, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have him be the guy that ends Gunther's streak. Those two would have an incredible match.
Mm-hmm.
that's right there, instant credibility. Like you could do it, and hopefully it works. But that company is so character driven. I don't know that Will Ospreay's got that character in him, um, because a lot of his character is pretty rough around the edges. You know, that's part of his appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he's a pretty damn good promo, to be honest.
No, I think it's a great promo, but I don't think that promo style works in the WWE world. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, it'd have to be. Yeah, they'd have to rein it in a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
And that sounds simple, but that's not always the case.
Sure. I just my thing is me again. This is it all that comes down to what he wants. So, but just for me, I just feel like if he goes to AEW, it's gonna be what they do with everyone. Like he'll come in and he'll have a nice hot run for
Yeah.
a month or two, and then every other week they'll be like, "Hey, look at this great Ospreay match we're putting on TV for you," and that's all it's gonna be. Is just gonna be.
Yeah, that's fair. I I think if Tony had his head on straight and this were 2021, summer of 2021, where he's spending all this money and stuff, I think he Will Ospreay is the sort of guy he can bring into his promotion and make a star. Like that's a guy that could be one of the 3 or 4 baby faces. You talk about a pillar, like he instantly knocks Sammy and Jack off the like. This is your next. He's the guy that you're going to be
Yeah.
running up against MJF for the next 10 years if you can lock down MJF. And I feel like the way that AEW's schedule is would be better for him.
Yes.
Him having to work 4 nights a week with his style, I don't think he'd have to tone it down. And I think if he doesn't want to do that, because he's been pretty resistant throughout his career, like 10 years ago when people were like, dude, you got to slow down. It's like, absolutely not. I'm going to wrestle hot. And even 5 years ago when he got seriously hurt, he's like, I'm not, I know I got to pull back, but I'm not slowing down on this.
Right.
So I don't know. I hope he goes to AEW, and becomes like a foundational piece there. But if he went to WWE, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
I mean, they're going to be able to offer him financially. They're going to be able to offer him a better deal than he'll get anywhere else. If if it's a pure money thing, they could get him. They're going to get him, right? If it's pure money, they're going to get him.
Unless they get absolutely stupid with it. He's the guy. He's like one of, I don't know how many there are, but he's one of the very few where I think Tony will move heaven and earth to match whatever financially to get him. Like he's like, I think he's he's a crown jewel for Tony. Like,
right.
I really think that he's a guy that, especially with Wembley, them running Wembley again next year, like
right. So. Right. But also like he's gonna, again, we don't know. You think he's already been signed, but a lot of people seem to think MJF hasn't signed. Like, is Tony gonna be able to break the bank to go get 2 of those guys? Like, maybe not. We don't know, but I'm guessing Punk got a pretty good severance when that whole thing went down.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's paying.
They'll be signing a new rights deal here soon too, which you would assume will be more than what they're getting now. So that'll help.
Hopefully.
So.
Yeah, but then also like, at some point, like, you're gonna have guys finding out about these salaries and saying like, hey, if you can pay them, you can pay me. Like my deal's coming up. Like that's a slippery slope, and he's already paying guys like Cole, who, I'm sorry, Adam Cole has been a waste of money since he's come in. It's not his fault, but they've just never been able to get him off the ground. Yeah. Brian's been great when he's been healthy, but he's hurt all the time. Every time they call on him, like, hey, Punk, effed up again. We need to rally the troops. He gets hurt. Moxley is kind of injury prone right now, or he took time for his personal stuff, and that's absolutely like he should do that. But when he's been back, he's been banged up. It's like all your top guys, he's spending a lot of money on guys that haven't made returns. But if they find out MJF is making double what they were, and they can go get that in WWE, you're kind of screwed.
I mean, that's how they that whole MJF thing started. Like how that whole thing snowballed is he was like, you're paying Punk and Bryan all this money, and like this is what I've been doing for you before they even got here. Like, so yeah, no, it's going to be next year is going to be really interesting. I think I said it last week, and 2024 is going to be a wild year when it comes to wrestling free agency.
I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just my negativity. I think the crush is coming. I feel like WWE is really about to like needle them hard after this merger.
Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Unless Punk's really the devil, and then everyth's going to be saved in AEW.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God damn it.
That would be pretty slick though, if like they pulled that off.
If they pull that off, I take back almost all the bad things I said about Tony. Like,
right,
like,
right. That would be unbelievable if that were the case.
It would be. It would be great. I mean, that would be awesome. So, but I don't think that's.
I don't think it is either. But I think I lean more, if I had to pick which one's more likely, War Games. I don't see a like I don't see a scenario where he doesn't end up back there, and like there's just it feels like there's too many references at this point, and like he's making too many comments where it's just like something's going on.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think he's going to be there at Survivor Series. But I wouldn't rule out the Rumble.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, how many times can you bring a guy back in Chicago?
Right. Well, see, I was just thinking like one way you could do that is you could play the music and do the Paul Heyman thing again and get that pop and then get the heat. And then Punk, the next time the guy does it, Punk actually shows up.
You better damn make sure that you have him if you do go that route.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But it's been a rough week of no football, Matt.
Yeah, that was watching the Red Zone on Sunday. I'm like, man, there is a lot of dog shit football being played today.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Packers Rams was just like, oh, every time they went in on that game, I'm like, this is boring as shit.
There's a lot of backup QBs playing.
Yeah. And apparently the best one in football is in our division now. So now apparently we have to worry about the Vikings. I still don't think we do. But
I don't think so. I think that was a one week. It's the Colts bringing in Jeff Saturday last year. They won their first game and then didn't win again the rest of the season. So I don't think we really got to worry about them. But
No, I feel pretty good about Sunday. If they drop it, it's one of the ones where I'm like, because I think they're going to lose 2 or 3 games the rest of the way.
They
And I'm
can't
like,
lose this one though.
I hope they don't, but
I mean,
they,
so they never play well going out to the West Coast. So there's that. But Brandon Staley's such a buffoon. Like you got to beat him.
yeah, but they're an underachieving team. They got playmakers though.
They
That's the
sure
thing.
do.
And like they're one thing that's helped us this year is we haven't played too many dynamic offenses. They're pretty dynamic over there. Like it's going to be a real test for the defense. It sounds like everyone's healthy.
Yeah.
So that's a great sign. But I could totally see them lose this game. I feel good about it coming off the bye, especially.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is coming off you. Yeah, you lose the game. Like that's rough. But
And they just played Monday night. They had to play in New York and fly back. They flew out, flew back home. Like there's a lot of advantages going our way. But there's
I was
something
so
to be
happy
said
they won.
about
I was so happy they won that Monday night game.
yeah,
So
so that they'll be on the up down theory.
well, I mean, we saw it with the Raiders. Like
Oh, and they didn't fire Staley,
right,
so
right.
yeah.
Because if you lose to the Jets with Zach Wilson and I mean, I can't even remember what the Chargers' record is, but it puts them way behind the 8 ball. I mean, the way the AFC North is playing right now, good luck to anyone else who doesn't win a division getting in the playoffs.
Right.
Good Lord.
What a buzzsaw that division is.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. The Steelers are still terrible. I don't care what the record says. And I don't think the Browns are going to keep it up much longer. That offense that offense is atrocious.
I was going to say,
And
only two of
the
those teams
defense
have a
is
legit quarterback.
yeah, Baltimore looks I feel after this week I feel so much better about
Oh, yeah.
what happened to us. Lamar, this is scary Lamar. Like
Mm-hmm.
they finally figured something out there. Good lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that defense is flying around the field again.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they're like it's I've always loved the Baltimore defense and like it feels like the Lions are getting close to that. And it's just really exciting to think about like that's gonna be my team.
Yeah, someone I can't remember what, but there's some statistical things with the Ravens defense where it's like the best since that Ravens defense.
Yeah.
So
They're monsters, dude.
yeah, and now they've got and unlike that Ravens defense, they've got an offense to.
How dare you? You will not insult the good goddamn name of Trent Dilfer or Joe Flacco.
All right, yeah, you're right. Sorry. So, yeah, but I'm glad it's a 4 o'clock game, so I don't have to worry about missing any of it. I'm glad we get that. Unfortunately, we get Tony Romo, so there's that.
Yeah.
But
And I get some of the hatred, but also like whatever. It's not like there's tons of great play-by-play guys out there every week that are just not getting a shot. Because you listen to some of these D teams and D squads, and you're like, how are they like an NFL broadcaster?
sure. It's just he had his first year he was really good, and then everyone fawned over him, and since he's just been more annoying than anything.
Yeah. I've liked Greg Olson a little bit.
I love that number one Fox team with him and Burkhardt.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I feel pretty good about the game Sunday, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I can't wait to see how they now that Montgomery's back and Gibbs looks like he's
figured it out.
Like seeing those
or
two.
figured more of it out. Yeah.
Right. those two, what they, with both of them, I can't wait to see what
Well,
Johnson comes
and
up
a
with.
fully healthy offensive line.
Right.
Like that's going to be. I think they're going to pound that Chargers defense. I don't think Goff's throwing the ball. More than if he throws them more than 30 times, I'd be surprised. Maybe in today's NFL, that's just everyone does, but it feels like they're going to want to just wear down that Chargers defense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, looking forward to that. You remember what we were doing 6 years ago? Right now, I think we're at Dave and Buster's.
You were getting married.
We were at
Dave and Buster's.
The night before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the rehearsal dinner, and then.
That's right. We went and got pizza.
Yep. That was the rehearsal dinner with pizza, and then we went to the Dave and Buster's in Livonia. All us.
That's right.
All us guys.
We did.
So.
Yeah, because you guys all stayed up here, and I had to drive home.
Yeah.
Or stayed up here. You guys all stayed up in Plymouth, Livonia area,
yes.
and I drove home.
You drove home and came back the next day. So.
Yeah. And then I got some crack chauffeuring and a crack in my neck the next day.
Oh man! Even with that though, that day was the best.
Oh yeah. I had a wonderful time the next morning when my neck was throbbing.
Sure.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. No, that was a great day. You and I were texting earlier, and I was just like, there's so much I remember about that day. It's crazy. It's been 6 years.
I know. So, but time flies. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got.
I had something I was going to bring up, and then I'm blanking on it now. So
the Final Kiss show at MSG is going to be available on pay-per-view.
Cool.
So, don't bother me on Saturday, December 2nd.
Oh, wait, no, our wedding's on Friday. I was going to say, well, I'm going to be stuck at a wedding. Joke's on you. But... Well, that's exciting. How much is this piece of trash going to be? Let me guess, $79.99.
No. $40.
Ooh.
That's not bad.
It's a deal.
It is. So.
Okay. I wonder if when they run the next final concert at Madison Square Garden pay-per-view in like 2025, if they'll do like a bundle where you get like the original Kiss lineup goodbye concert, blah blah blah.
Maybe. We'll see.
You people are suckers. You're all suckers.
I
You'll buy anything. You'll buy anything those guys throw in your face.
Yep. Do you know who Craig Gass is?
I have heard that name. I can't say I do.
He's a comedian and he does impressions, but he does an okay Paul Stanley, but he does an excellent Gene Simmons, like spot on Gene Simmons. It's always the same. Is whenever he does it, he goes, "This is Gene Simmons," and then there's a pause, and he goes, "From Kiss," and then he goes into some spiel about it's the Kiss toilet. You do your business, and then you put in a quarter, and then you can flush. So.
I just imagine like they've rigged it so there's lights in it, so when the water flushes down the toilet, it looks like flames shooting out of Gene's mouth.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and the little hole could be like his tongue.
It could be. Yeah. And plays God of Thunder.
No, it has to play Deuce.
Oh yes. Yeah, you know what? You're right. That's part of the joke. I messed that. I forgot
Oh,
about
is that a joke?
that. Was part of the
Okay.
joke too. It was.
Okay. All right.
It plays deuce.
I'm proud that I was able to keep up and drop a reference there.
Yeah.
Look at me and my history.
But yeah, he's actually doing well. He did two of them already. He was doing a couple comedy shows around. He did Austin, Texas, and he did Seattle actually, because Kiss was just in Seattle a couple nights ago, and then he's doing a show the night before the first MSG show, and then the night after the last MSG show. But yeah, he's like a really big Kiss. He's like, and like they love it. Like even he's been on the cruise a couple times, and
Okay.
so it's one of those things where they're all on board with it. But yeah, he's pretty funny, dude. But yeah, it's just the way he always sets up the Gene impressions. It's Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yeah. Whatever.
Anyhow, all right, we'll get out of here now. Follow or subscribe to the channel, musicandmoonsalts.com, and leave a thumbs up on this video, please. And yeah, that is it. Until next time, see ya.